informative for you. What I was going to go over is just, a little about myself, how I got to where I'm at, a little what Videon is and how we got started, and then I was going to talk a bit about our product, the VIA, which is an Android app for media playback, and the Fling Fest that we're having for it. It's actually a hackathon at the end of this month that you may be interested in coming to. As I said before, my name is Jim Condon. I'm actually an old fart. I have 2 kids, 1 grandchild. I tell you this because it's always more interesting when you know a little bit about somebody. Graduated 30 years ago now from high school in Central PA, so around this area down in West Branch. I was fortunate enough to get accepted to University of Pennsylvania, Ivy League school in Philadelphia. Unfortunate enough to go to Penn and discover the interest of alcohol. I'll tell you this because I think it leads to some of the things we do at Videon when we're hiring people. Drank heavily for a year or so, left Penn. Thanks to my now wife Jackie and a few other people, straightened myself up, graduated from Penn State as a computer science major. Started working at Penn State in the Applied Research Lab doing signal processing for torpedoes. Along the way, you'll see where this gets back to Videon. And I really want to start this out. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm really better when people are asking me questions than when I'm up here blathering on. If there's something you're interested in, feel free to ask. When I started working at Videon, or ARL, I did side work for a company called Paragon. Paragon did video playback boards for old PCs. This was back in the day before any of you remember, and PCs couldn't play back video. They were too underpowered, so you put dedicated hardware in for it. I did consulting for them. Turned out that company got bought by another company. They started doing DVD playback, and they hired me on full time. So for the next year was actually a pretty exciting time in my life. We got spun off, we got a new CEO, we are now a company called Videon, and we did the first DVD playback board for PCs, done by Diamond Multimedia, who was a graphics card provider back in the time. We won an award for PC World. We were the little startup that was going to take off. We had investment. It was going to be awesome. And then our CEO decided that he should start an online store. He bankrupted the company. We didn't get paid for 3 months. My wife got very upset. We had no more money in the bank. The company went away. So out of that, you would think that we'd all just step back and say, let's get a nice, secure job. Let's go work at Penn State, right across there, HRB, someone like that. That makes sense. No, 6 of us said, well, let's start another company. And we had $5,000. So not probably the smartest decision I've ever made, but it's worked out fine. What we did is we went out to all the contacts we had made, and we started just, to be honest, we were begging for work. And we started doing reference designs for people. Now, reference designs are things that chip companies like Intel, Cirrus Logic, Broadcom do. They have a chip. You put a board together, a software package, and you can deliver it to customers to make products. So we started doing just engineering for hire. We would work for them, we charge them X dollars, we give them X hours. But we actually had a plan, and our plan was that we wanted to take those boards, we wanted to take the technology that we learned about and apply it to vertical markets. One thing you realize when you start working with people like Broadcom, Intel, Cirrus Logic, is the fact that they like selling chips. They like selling millions of chips. They don't like selling 1,000 chips. But there are a lot of people out there that have great ideas of what they can do, but they can't buy millions of chips. They're only going to sell 1,000 boards. And you may not become $1 billion company by doing this, but you can become a $10 million or $15 million company by doing this. So every time we negotiated a contract, we gave them a lower rate, but we got to resell their chips. And the one place where we really got to take off was in in-flight entertainment. So in-flight entertainment, if you've ever flown on a plane, yeah, there are movies there. But once you get to a certain amount of richness, you get to buy your own plane. And this is the private jet industry. And these private jets have their own DVD and Blu-ray players inside of it. So what we did was take the DVD technology that we worked on for a company called Cirrus Logic and made a DVD player for a plane. Now the reason you have to do that for a plane is that, quite honestly, you have to be very careful when you put electronics in a plane. And the entertainment system has to be rugged enough that it won't crash a plane. There was actually a Swiss airplane that went down and killed people because the game system in it overheated, fried out the communication, and it crashed in Scotland. So these people can't go and buy a Samsung Blu-ray player and put it in the plane. They have to custom design hardware. So that means the Blu-ray player that you buy at Best Buy or Walmart for $100 costs $5,000 for a plane. But it also means you only sell 200 a year. So this is the market we started going after, and we were really quite successful. We ended up working with companies like Rockwell Collins and Lufthansa Technik in Germany. Lufthansa, we actually, we started working with some of these things. You get to name drop, and I'll do that because it's fun. We got in trouble because our DVD player was on Oprah's private jet and it stopped working in one of her flights. So we had a guy called out to fix it because Oprah wants it fixed. The best plane we ever worked on was the King of Bahrain. And if you don't know where Bahrain is, it's a small island off the east of Saudi Arabia. And it's got a lot of oil money, and the king has 2 747s. So that's kind of sweet. It's good to be the king, right? I mean, so I personally got to work on that plane. It was the inside of that plane was nicer than my house. So this is where we came from. We, of course, were doing DVD stuff, and then we started branching into Blu-ray. And Blu-ray's really been successful for us, and not just from a vertical market. We actually have Blu-ray software that runs on Blu-ray players. If you don't know, much about the technology of Blu-ray, there's actually a Java virtual machine on a Blu-ray disc. So there's a little Java program running whenever you run a Blu-ray disc. Part of the reason it takes so long to start up. So we supply the software that runs on those boxes. We actually worked with companies like Broadcom and Intel to provide Blu-ray software. We have actually shipped about 22 million, there's 22 million units out there that have shipped with us, software inside. We're in LG, most LG and Samsung players right now. So, it's kind of amazing that you look at it and you have, 6 dweeby guys from the middle of Pennsylvania starting a company. None of us were, came from anything special, and now we have a company that's dealing with kind of the, blue chips of the world. We work with Intel, we work with Broadcom, we're working with Qualcomm, Marvell. We've supported people like Sony, Samsung, LG. So, and what we do is we provide, the Blu-ray software for everything. It's kind of a, nutshell of where we came and what we do. We can talk a lot about, the technology that we do. I don't know if, how much more I can go there, but one of the things I wanted to bring up was the fact of the kind of people we look for at Videon, because, we're doing this Fling Fest. No one ever does anything out of the kindness of their heart, right? We're not giving away $2,000 just because we like people and we have an excess of $2,000 in our pocket. We do it because we're recruiting people like you. We want you to come and see us, want to see you, and see how you perform, to be honest. So a lot of what we try to do at Videon, we can say all day, we work with Intel, we work with Blu-ray. We really do work with cool technologies. And if you like that, we're here. We look for people who like that. One of the questions, I don't know if it was Jeff, or who asked me is, what do we look for in employees? When you send your resume in to us, what do we look for? There are certain calling cards that we have that we look for when we're talking to people. If we're hiring you for software engineering, you have to be able to be a C programmer or a Java programmer. You have to have programming experience. but that's just a calling card. Everybody's going to have that on their resume. Next thing companies tend to look for are GPAs. And quite honestly, we don't care that much. Yeah, if you come in with a 1.8, we're going to say, what, but yeah, why do you have a 1.8? That's kind of hard to get. I had a 1.8 at Penn. I drank a lot. That's how I got a 1.8, right? So the question is, what do you do and why do you want to do it? And it's really about the passion of what you do. We have a lot of guys come in now because the startup is the glory boy, right? Everybody wants to go to California, start their startup, make their millions of dollars, and go retire. But what we're looking for are people who actually want to do what we do. The question I ask more than any interview or look at any resume is, what have you done in technology that you didn't get rewarded for? You guys are all smart. You guys know how to go to college. Someone gives you an assignment, you get it done. You get an A on it. The reason you did the assignment is because you got an A on it. You may have a summer job. You may have an internship. You got paid to program something. That's great. What did you do that you didn't get paid for, you didn't get graded on? Do you really love what you do every day? Give you some examples of guys we have today at Videon. One guy, this was back before everybody had a Gmail or Yahoo account, but I asked him about it. He had set up a mail server for his fraternity because he felt his fraternity house should have its own domain and its own email system. I had another guy, let's see, who writes, he started a couple years ago for us. He writes games for the old 8-bit Nintendo system. NES, yes. He programs them, he writes them in assembly, and he actually just published his own game for NES. There are people out there who buy new NES games. So this is something you look at. My favorite story of all time, from the favorite name I've ever had as an employee, was Max Towers. So Max came in, and great guy, he had a good resume. And I asked him that question. I said, what do you do that you didn't get paid for? And he looked at me and he goes, nothing. I'm really, nothing? Nothing at all. You can't give me one thing that you've done that you haven't done out of school. So he was about ready to get thrown in the out bucket right there, right? And then he looks at me and goes, well, I'm working on this project. I said, okay, what is it? And he goes, well, I'm really tired of Penn State being ranked low in the rankings. So he set up a web page that took in all the stats from all the football teams and was generating a web ranking that would always put Penn State at the top. And he said, if I run this for 5 years, I get to get in the BCS scheduling system. So he set up a whole website, he set up all the programming, he did all the statistics to automatically generate Penn State as #1. And he had to keep modifying it to make sure they always came #1. These are the things we look for. These are people who actually like technology and like playing with it. So I think one of the things you can look at is, one of the questions is why do you do what you do? And if you're really interested, there are ways of doing this even, outside of doing stuff like that. There's open source. There's so much open source projects today that you can go out and help with and volunteer. We actually hired a guy who failed out of Cornell. And he was at State College, and we probably wouldn't have hired him, except he was a contributor to WinCVS, which is an open source project. And when you ask the people in the WinCVS project about him, they couldn't say enough good things. He wrote good code, he wrote good code, he wrote it fast, he wrote it well. And why did he fail out of Cornell? Well, yes, he had personal problems at the time and it didn't go well. He was one of our best employees, and we lost him to Google 2 years ago. It was not good. So, there's a lot to look forward to, but if you want to get a job and you're looking about how you promote yourself, these are ways you can promote yourself. That's enough of my preaching. Hope it was okay.
I have 2 questions.
Good, I love questions.
First question, kind of, is a real general question, obviously, but.
I like questions from these guys better, but from you, it'll be okay. All right.
Starting salary ranges, just for a data point, I agree with you, you don't work for money, but just
Right.
what kind of starting salary range you're looking at?
So, this is always a good one because, you know, what is the starting salary for Central PA? You know, software programmers, we're seeing start from anywhere from, you know, I'll throw it out there, from 50 to 60K is the starting salary we're seeing coming out of Penn State. I will be honest with you, if you go to, you know, larger metropolitan areas, you'll see a bigger number. My son, as I was telling some people earlier, works for Google. I'll be honest with you, you guys can get a job with Google, go for it. It's freaking awesome, okay? But if you can't, you're gonna be out in the West Coast and he's in a 1-bedroom studio apartment paying $1,600 a month. So he pays more a month. He pays, you know, almost twice as much a month as I pay for my house. So, you know, there are things you have to look at. So that was question number one.
Second question, now that you're in Oak Park, still living in Oak Park.
Yeah.
When you started out at college in your early 20s, did you follow the path you thought you were gonna follow? Did you do exactly what you ended up wanting to do, or I'm not, you know, what happened?
I always say I follow the path of least resistance. I can honestly say when I was graduating from college, I was probably one of the most immature people I know. If it wasn't for my wife at that time, I probably would be a drunken cab driver in Philadelphia. One of the great things, I had a friend I worked with at Penn State, he said one of the great things about the United States is you can be a total screw up until you're 20 or 30, and you can still make a great success out of yourself. So I think it's one of the keys is to be open to what's out there. When I grew up right outside Penn State. And to be honest with you, everybody's goal was to get a job at Penn State. If you got a job at Penn State, that was freaking awesome. You were set for life. I worked at Penn State and I quit to go to a little startup. And I know my parents, my in-laws, and everyone thought I was an idiot, but it's worked out pretty good. So I can't say that I really knew where I was going when I graduated from college. I know I graduated from college, I was very glad to have a job and start working. But quite honestly, you never know where you're going to end up.
I'll agree to that.
All right.
Jeff probably knew, but, you know. I hear what it is.
There are certain people in this world that scare me. People that can plan their life from the age of 18 and married couples that never fight. These people scare me. I just don't like it. All right. So, I didn't know I was going to have these huge screens, or else I would have brought another cable, show you some cool stuff. But one thing I want to talk about is Avia. Avia is an Android app we've written, and our playing best. Videon does Blu-ray software. We do DVDs, we do CDs. How many people here have a Blu-ray software? Yeah, you've got maybe like a third. How many people watch streaming things like YouTube, Netflix? Right? Oh, everybody. Well, gee, let's look at the future. We always refer to ourselves as a shiny disc company. And it actually started to become a problem because in 5 years, you're not going to make much money off shiny discs. So what we're doing is we're starting to, the nice marketing term is rebrand ourselves as a streaming company. So we worked with people at Google and people at Sony. They were releasing their Google TV box. And the Blu-ray player, if you get a Sony Blu-ray Google TV box, that's our software. Well, they were releasing Google TV and they weren't going to put a media player in. So they asked us to do a media player. So what we have is the application we call Avia. It's an Android app. You can get it for your cell, tablet, or your Google TV box. And it's basically a player for your personal content within your house. We try to make it the window into your house, all your content. So if you have a tablet, cell phone, one of the problems we saw was that you have content everywhere in your house. You take pictures on your cell phone, You download music on your computer. You know, you play movies on your tablet. And depending on where you're at and what you do, you only see some of your content. Well, there's a technology, I don't know if you guys heard of this, called DLNA. You guys familiar with it? So DLNA is a great thing. Inside your house, it lets you see everything there. So our Via app is a DLNA app. It lets you play stuff off of Microsoft Windows Media Player, any DLNA server like the Xbox Media Player, Plex. We support all of these. But what it does is it presents the data in a uniform way. A little small, but this is a 6 transformer, or Via app. And so basically it just comes up and it gives you an index into your music, your videos, and your photos. And you can pop it open and see all the music you have. We try to make it so it sees what I have over there, the Kindle Fire. We also support the Kindle Fire. It allows you to see your content there. It allows you to see your content on your PCs. So that's not really that thrilling. Everybody has one, right? Part of the reason we don't do an iOS app is because iOS has iTunes. But one thing DLNA does give you, I'm sorry, I just want to make sure, is a concept called Fling. And what Fling is, it's actually, DLNA calls it a media renderer. But it works out like this. I have my Kindle Fire here. So, and it will turn on. Now, because I'm me, this isn't a stock Kindle Fire. It runs Jelly Bean because why get electronics if you can't play around with them, right? But if you have a Kindle Fire, you can download it from the App Store. It's the same thing. So I'm reading a book on my Kindle Fire. My kids come bug me, or my grandkid now. So they want to see a movie. Say that tablet is the TV in their room, Google TV box. I have Kung Fu Panda here. And press on it, and we have Fling too. I can hit it. Key to one of these demos is always bring your own network, because otherwise it won't work. And what you see, and what you may not be able to see, is that now I'm playing Kung Fu Panda over here. Okay. This really has a lot of features, a lot of uses out there. One is the fact that as you get older like me and you have pictures of grandchildren, you want to show them to people. But showing them on this or that kind of stinks when you have a 50-inch TV in your house. So we can fling pictures. So you're sitting around the living room, you want to show someone pictures. You can throw them up to the screen. Say you're watching a YouTube video. On your screen, you want to show the other guys in the room. You can fling it up. These are all standard use cases that old people like me have thought of. What we're trying to do with Fling Fest, there's two keys to this, and there's two reasons we're holding this. One is, as I said before, is recruiting. Talk to you guys, get you guys in the place, give me a reason to come out here and battle. The other reason is, how else can we use this? And that's the real key to this. This is a standard protocol. This isn't something from Apple where you have to sign a big developer's license to get access to it. This is an open standard. Anyone can write to it. There are open source projects like libupnp and Cling and other ones that give you access to the technology to use it. So if you had a surface like this that you could just throw content to, what would you do with it? And that's what we're going to be judging on at the end of this month. Is come in for 2 days. I mean, I don't know. Are you all familiar with a hackathon is? Yeah. Okay, so what a hackathon is it's a 2-day event. We're going to be open all night. You come in. You can come in as a group of 1, a group of 2, a group of 3, a group of 4. We don't care. We're going to give you $2,000, however you want to split it. It's fine with us. And the idea is we're going to have these tablets up and running. And you have 2 days to create the neatest application for Fling. At the end of the 2 days, we're going to have a presentation. You guys are all going to present, whoever comes. Present for 5 minutes and say, this is what our great idea is. we're gonna judge it, we're gonna award a prize. So it's kind of a intense overnight weekend hackathon. So that's what we'll be doing, and we're really gonna be judging on the creativity and usage of learning. Second prize is the Nexus 7, so if there's a group of 4, I don't know how you divide up the Nexus 7. Maybe it's rock, paper, scissors. Hacksaw? Blowtorch? I don't know. So you can shift it, everyone gets it for a week. So there's the hackathon website. If you go to Video on Central, video-central.com, there's a link to it. There's a button up there to register, there's more information. Does anybody have any questions? I've almost exceeded my time, so.
The app for the Android, is that one that you have to buy?
So, interesting enough, no, Avia is free. We use Avia more for marketing than we do as an app. So we send it to our clients and everything, and it's in the App Store, so you can download it. It's a fairly well, ranked and downloaded app. So,
Have you considered possibly like DLNA dongle for a smart TV that doesn't have the DLNA server compatibility, or possibly even a media player with DLNA to add on to the TV?
We've been listening to our secret marketing meetings. There's actually a really interesting technology coming out called MHL. Anybody heard about it? You know what HDMI is? So, and then USB, right? So USB is a great technology. You're really excited, I love it, but just give me five seconds. So USB allows you to charge devices, right? So it supplies you power. MHL adds that power to HDMI. So now you don't need a wall wart. So there are people now writing, there's little Android dongles that you plug in, and using MHL, it's a powered set-top box that just plugs into your TV. So we're definitely looking at that as a way to create what we call a fling stick. And you can use things not only, there's other technologies besides DLNA. There's something called Wi-Fi Direct, WiDi from Intel, that are very AirPlay-esque.
So something similar to Raspberry Pi.
Yeah. Problem with Raspberry Pi, there's...
It's already out of date.
No, actually Raspberry Pi works very well for it. The actual board itself pulls a little too much power to be powered off of it. So,
Possibly a gum stick for that?
gum stick?
It's a little computer about the size of a gum stick with a
Yeah.
1 gigahertz processor, and some of them have up to 5 megabytes of RAM, and Wi-Fi, Bluetooth.
Right, that might be one of the, we've looked at things like cotton candy. There's a Chinese company that's putting out a couple, so.
Do you know about the 4K, like 4 times resolution HD?
Yes.
Will it work with that
Nobody will work with 4K right now. So,
in the future?
yeah. So quite honestly, 4K video is one of those technologies that I kind of question in the living room. My president and I have debates on this all the time. You all know what a retina display is, I think. So a retina display means you can't pick out pixels, right? So if you have a 1080p 50-inch monitor, at what point do you think it becomes a retina display? It becomes a retina display when you step 5 feet away from it. All right? Now, I don't know how many people watch TV from closer than 5 feet, but I don't. So now, if you have a 4K TV, at what point can you actually tell the difference between a 4K and a 1080p? It becomes very questionable. So, but TV people will tell you you need it because they want you to buy new TVs. So,
Well, it's 4 times the resolution of
Right.
HD, at like the 70-inch ones. You can
Right.
pick out the pixels really easy, like they're the size of a Sharpie head.
how far are you standing from it?
I haven't used one, but
Okay. Yeah, it becomes a question of distance, and
And if you have HD channels or not.
yeah,
That's
no,
important.
yeah. If you Yeah, if you don't have HD channels, please don't use an HD.
Although, something like 4K might actually be applicable for like a tabletop touchscreen display.
Right. Well, the one application for 4K that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so there's two places. As sorry, I'll segue all over the place. I'm kind of goofy like that. 4K by 2K has two uses. One is digital cinema actually transmits 4K. So that's where it's coming from. And one of the interesting things is, you know, it used to be if you had a DVD and you were looking at it at 480i standard def, you were taking that beautiful movie experience and crushing the hell out of it and giving you a crappy interlaced picture. Well, now the digital cinema has gone to 4K. We're kind of doing the same thing when we go to 1080p. Not so much, but you can say the same thing's happening. So there are technologies like 4K and then encoding technologies like, it's called H.265, which is the next compression algorithm that will give you better compression. So you can start getting Blu-rays that will actually have 4K content on them. The other place that it works is glasses-free 3D. So I don't know if you know how glasses-free 3D works, but it works like the old baseball cards where you used to be able to twist them. There's a little lens in there that focuses different pixels at different sites. So the problem is you give up resolution for 3D. Well, if you have a 4K display, you're not giving up much resolution because you're scaling it down to a 720p image. So that's another place where you'll see 4K coming.
I just have two quick questions about the company info. Like, how many employees you employ in?
Oh my God, I didn't say that. That's the big, right? So we're up to 80 people. We've been together for 15 years. We're 80 people. We're $15 million in sales. We have been profitable all but 1 year. That was the year after the first 9/11 where nobody in the world was profitable. So we're doing very well. We have, give you some more PR about us. We do try to be employee friendly. We do things to kind of create camaraderie in the company. The one thing I'm not a member of, we have a thing called Velo Videon. It's a bike club. And basically, if you promise to bike 3 times a week, we'll give you $500 towards the bike. So we have a walking club, we have a running club. We have a company lunch. You pay, I think it's $2 a day, and you get lunch made for you, so you don't have to go out. We do what we call a company lunch, which is kind of started off because we used to do cookouts on Friday. But we divide the company into 4 sections. And once a month, your group makes lunch for the whole company. So we try to do, fun, interesting things like that. We have a bonus program. So if the company makes money, you make money. Last year we gave out, last year we gave out Kindle Fires to the whole company. We previously have given out TiVos and DVD players. We like people playing with the technology we use. It's kind of the mindset. I mean, as I said before, nothing's for free, right? We give you a Kindle Fire so you play around with it so you're more knowledgeable. And you can't complain, well, I don't have a Kindle Fire. We give you a bonus when we make money so you're more incentivized to help us make money. But it's a give and take, We all make money that way.
And just one more thing. How does Google and like Samsung and LG and Broadcom and all these other guys, how did you end up working with them? Did they get in touch with you, or did you reach out to them and say, here is our product?
No, we've really grown through word of mouth. So when we worked with Fieldworks, which Paragon, the first company we talked to, and we were doing video cards, we were working on the first DVD player chipset from Toshiba. So what happened is the guy left from Toshiba and he went to Samsung. He knew us, so he brought us along. There's only 6 of us. We didn't really need a big marketing campaign, right? But as you start working with people and doing a good job, really that's the value. People know you and you become a network. So, and then you start growing and you get really weird connections. Why are we so tied with Intel right now? Because we had an intern who worked at Paragon who left and went to Intel and got in charge of their Blu-ray.